I'm about to welcome on stage Mr. Marshall F., the Chief Executive Officer at SEO Backyard. And the topic for tonight is SEO Insider Secrets, how to do on-page SEO optimization of a tube site and increase search engine traffic. We're going to cover a few things on this talk: tracking search results, how to track that effectively, SEO tools for proper crawling and indexing, speed up a website for better results, and many more. And if Mr. Marshall is ready, I'm welcoming him on this main stage that is fixed and up again. Hey, Marshall.
Hello, everybody. Hello, Roman. How's it going?
That is going well so far. That is going very well. We had a minor problem, but it's all fixed now and we are back again. And that is our final day. And how do you feel? Excited about your presentation?
I'm really excited about joining you here. It's been a great pleasure. I would like to thank you, Panos, for inviting me to join this conference. I was a guest previously, but I obviously have never been a speaker before. So it's been a real pleasure to be here.
Nice.
And thank you for inviting me.
Thank you, Panos. Thank you, Marshall. And now you are on your own with your presentation, and I will be waiting you on the background, and we'll join you again in a few moments to ask some questions. So good luck, man.
Thank you.
Have you ever been interested in getting more traffic to your website and acquiring more visitors without buying any traffic? Were you curious to figure out how the biggest websites in the industry grow that big and build their own customer base? Do you want to learn how to grow your own website to enormous sizes using only search engines? If your answer to all these questions is yes, then rest and relax for the next 50 minutes for our educators to introduce you to the world of fascinating search engine optimization, or simply SEO, with Marshall from SEO Backyard.
Hello everybody and welcome to this year's WebmasterAccess conference. First of all, I would like to thank you for taking your valuable time and for taking this SEO class. I'm Marshall, as most of you know me by. I'm coming from SEO Backyard, an agency providing business development and SEO services, and I'm a person that has been doing business development and search engine optimization for some of the biggest and well-known companies in this industry for the last 15 plus years. Personally, I've been living from practicing SEO on my own sites for a decade and a half. I own the networks of literally thousands of websites with many successful clients that had their properties ranked on top search engine results. For the next 30 minutes, we will cover some of the most infamous topics on SEO on-page and off-page optimization. Let's optimize one tube site and see how a regular day of an SEO person looks like, that I'm sure you're curious to know more about. To make this class easier to watch, we will split it into two parts, where one part will be dedicated to optimizing factors that are part of your own website, and the other one will take care of the external factors, such as backlinks. So in part one of this class, we will talk about on-page SEO. What is on-page SEO? As most of you probably know, on-page SEO, or also known as on-site SEO, it is a practice of optimizing web page content for search engines and users. Common on-page SEO practices include optimizing title tags, content, internal links, and the URLs. This is different from off-page SEO, which is basically optimizing for signals that happen off of your website, for example, backlinks. How relevant on-page SEO is in 2020? Well, even Google in their report How Search Algorithms Work claims, quoting, "The most basic signal that information is relevant is when a web page contains the same keywords as your search query. If those keywords appear on the page, or if they appear in the headings or body of the text, the information is more likely to be relevant. Beyond simple keyword matching, we use aggregated and anonymized interaction data to assess whether search results are relevant to queries. We transform that data into signals that help our machine learning systems better estimate relevance. But that's not all. There's much more than getting an article text and stuffing keywords into your page's HTMLs. Stuffing is good when you have a fresh turkey on your table for Thanksgiving, but not for the quality of your website's rankings. You have to think of different factors such as user experience, bounce rate, loading speed, click-through rates, and most importantly, the search intent. During the last few years, with the development of artificial intelligence and machine learning, Google has become smarter, so the algorithms can very well understand what your page is about. So the most important thing that you need to do is to make content for your pages, and that content has to be relevant to the topic. Google gives priority to words that show up early on your page, which means you need to include your target keywords in the first few hundred words. Your article text or description has to use natural descriptions, natural language, and depending on the length of the text, it should include keywords several times. Keywords could easily be replaced with synonyms, or they could be replaced with semantically related keywords, since most of the time Google will make no difference, and additionally this will benefit your results. The second most important factor for on-page SEO is the title tag. The optimal length of titles is 50 to 60 characters, since titles max out at 600 pixels width. So your titles have to be short and concise, and they have to include your most important keywords. And most importantly, you need to think of search visitors and how your title looks to them, since they will be the ones clicking on your results. Again, don't overdo the keywords. This is quite obvious topic because each different page should have its own title. If you need to implement generic titles into your website templates, you could add your brand name to the titles. So don't forget about Facebook Open Graph and their OG title tags or Twitter title summary card. Since on-page SEO is not only about Google, but about different sites and search engines as well, so you need to have them also in mind. This has been a ranking factor that's very important since the early days of SEO. This is the description of your website that visitors see in search engine rankings. So optimizing meta descriptions might increase your CTR, and it will help visitors have a better understanding of what your site is all about. When writing meta descriptions, do not forget to include the keywords and semantically related keywords, but also have in mind that this text will be read by real visitors, so always try to sound like an authority. The next factor is whether keywords are included in the URL. Your website's URL need to include the website structure and reflect the website hierarchy. So have a look at the examples below. A good article needs good images. That's where Alt comes to help. This tag describes what images are about, but people often neglect Google Images as a source of traffic. But if you use alt tags properly, and if you use them regularly, you might not only get ranked better on Google search, but also on Google Images as well. Header tags are simple HTML elements. They are H1 to H6, and they're used to identify headings and subheadings from the paragraphs. H tags are not critically important as other elements anymore, but it wouldn't do harm to organize headings to strategically include your keywords and synonyms. What is a canonical tag, aka a rel canonical? It is a way of telling search engines that a certain web page is a copy of another page, so all the links will be credited to the original page. This refers to the pages on the same site. It's not a tool to use when you're quoting somebody else's content. This is an on-page SEO factor that also directs off-page SEO results, and it basically directs all the link juice. For example, if your website uses both HTTP and HTTPS version of the website, you have to make up your mind what version will be the main one. If you don't do this, Google will easily conclude that some of your pages are exact duplicates of other pages, and you might suffer the duplicated content penalty. Since Google has become smarter, optimizing for users in 2020 is what matters, since Google will be able to understand the purpose of your pages. If you're not certain what your topic should be about before writing the page text, try Googling the desired keyword. So Google will be using CTR or click-through ratio to determine what searchers want to see. So the results you will be seeing is exactly what your topic should be about. You just don't always have to cover the exact keywords literally. One of the most forgotten factors of SEO is definitely page loading speed. It's something obvious. If your website does not load and render quickly enough, the visitors will simply bounce off of your website. And this is a clear signal to Google that your web page is of no interest to the visitor, so Google will easily start decreasing your search traffic to those pages or the website itself. To improve page speed, basically you can check your website loading speed on Google's Page Speed Insights tool. Based on Google's statistics, more than 50% of the visitors will leave the page if it takes more than 3 seconds to load. How do you increase the loading page of your website? It is easy by properly optimizing HTML for rendering, by caching your web page on the server side, so it's using Memcached or Redis or any other kind of caching, and by minimizing CSS and JavaScript files. And also you could use a CDN for serving all of your static content. If you can serve your images and HTML, CSS and JavaScript files using a CDN from a location close to your visitor, page loading speed will drastically improve. There are also other tools than Google Page Speed Insights that will display the exact loading speed of each element on your page using a waterfall chart. So how can you find them? Simply by Googling website loading speed test. I cannot emphasize the importance of using a CDN enough. There is a big difference if your server is on a different continent than your visitor is. So that's where a CDN close to your visitor comes to help. If your files are cached and served from a location close to the user, the time for HTTP packets to travel significantly decreases, and it could easily be under 100 milliseconds, unlike a few hundred milliseconds if the files are served off of your server on another continent. If your visitor's browser has to make hundreds of HTTP requests just to load a single page, there is a huge difference between a lag of a few milliseconds and a few hundred milliseconds between the server and the user. So let me put it this another way. Each image and each file needs one HTTP request to get served. That means the time for each HTTP packet to arrive from visitor and server back and forth multiplies with the number of files served. If an average page has 100 or 200 different elements, and modern browsers can make 4 concurrent requests, that means that your browser has to make 25 to 50 requests in a row. So the maths is simple. If CDN speed is the following: 50 milliseconds by 25 requests, that equals 1 second and 250 milliseconds, 1.25 seconds, versus serving a file off of another continent from your web server. In that case, the lag could be 300 milliseconds multiplied by 25. It can end up with 7.5 seconds. So it's 1.25 seconds versus 7.5 seconds. And I hope you're getting my point now. With modern solutions, implementing a CDN is very easy, and it usually comes down to setting up a cookieless domain for your static content, for images, CSS and JavaScript files. So there's an example on the screen, and with modern CMS you only need to do a minor change in the config file, so it takes, let's say, only a couple of seconds to set up a CDN. Making the static content subdomain, the CDN subdomain, cookieless is basically to avoid spending time and bandwidth on serving cookies for the static content. Setting it up is outside of the scope of this class for obvious reasons. If you don't know how to do it, you can Google it or just contact your hosting support, so they will know what to do and they will easily configure your web server. Using a well-known CDN is also a bonus, since visitors will spend less time on doing a DNS query that is already cached within their browsers. Also, lazy loading of images means that all the images on a web page will be loaded asynchronously, and images below the fold, basically images that are not visible, will not be loaded on page load. This decreases the number of requests your browser needs to render the page and to increase loading times significantly. Again, I'm not going to cover the implementation of this. This is a text file that instructs search engine crawlers should they or not crawl your pages. So if you want to disallow certain pages from being crawled and indexed, then you need to add them to this file. It is important to include such pages with low quality content like login or logout, so they will be excluded from crawling, so more important pages could be prioritized. A properly updated sitemap is a thing that will help your content get indexed much faster. An XML sitemap is a list of all pages on your website. Since there is a lot of websites on the web, crawl bots have a limited time budget for crawling. They don't re-index each page of your website every day, but they visit your website from time to time, like anytime from a few days to a few weeks. So a sitemap defines which websites pages need to be visited more often. It defines priority for each page on the site, thus decreasing the time needed for reindexing and applying any changes. Google provides a very good tool for faster indexing of your web pages. It is called Google Webmaster Tools, and one part of that tool is Google Search Console. So let's sum it all up. An ideally optimized web page should include the following. The text should be relevant to the page topic. You need to include keywords in the title tag. You need to include keywords in the meta description tag. You need to include keywords in the URL of your web page. You also need to include keywords in the image alt tag. Then you need to include keywords in the text in a natural way. Also link back links need to be present, link backs to the category or subcategory page, and this is usually used in the navigation. And such a web page needs to have a link back to the home page, and it's usually from the home button or from the logo. When you double check all of those points, you should never forget the user engagement, since it is a very important signal for Google, and it also helps your website get good rankings. Google usually uses Analytics or Google Chrome to measure how much time users spend on the site and how many pages are open during the visit. Since users are what matters most, Google will give a big priority to this ranking factor. So you always need to think about the user experience, and will your visitors enjoy whatever they have been offered. Officially, since 2010, site speed is one of the ranking factors for Google.
Marshall, going very well so far. So far, so good. But we, as I see, have a few questions in the chat room. So we need to address those. Otherwise, it's not going to be complete. Are you ready to tackle some questions?
Yeah, of course, Roman. Just shoot them.
Perfectly shooting. Yulia is asking if you can tell a few words of an example about good ELT text.
Good ELT text. So basically, there was an example of how an alt text should look like. It's basically the same thing as title for HTML pages. So if you want to describe an image, just go ahead and write down some text there and try to be concise, because people oftentimes neglect importance of Google Images. So except Google search part, Google has Google Images, and a lot of people are actually going straight to the point by looking for images there. So just try to be concise, nothing much. Just try to explain what's going on in the photo.
Right. That was the answer. And Hope is asking you how complicated it is to optimize a website for getting better results. How long does the whole process take to, put everything in place and in order?
Okay, so it is, let's say, quite demanding process. So depending on the complexity of the website, it could take anywhere from, let's say, a couple of weeks to like 1.5 months. So basically, based on my experience, I usually try to reserve like first couple of weeks up to a month for optimizing the website, for doing basic on-page SEO.
Don't economize, in other words, on your SEO strategy. Andy is asking if XXX site has NSFW version. Does Google SEO frown upon the XXX version? I'm not sure if I got the question and I even read that right, but have you got the question, Marshall?
Let me just double check the question. If the XXX site has an SFW, okay, not safe for work version, does Google SEO frown upon the XXX version? I'm not sure I got I don't understand the question.
Andy, try to elaborate on your question.
Please try to elaborate and I would reply to it.
Yeah, and while Andy is typing his question, let me ask you one last for the session
Okay.
before we keep going with your video presentation. Dennis is asking if it is better to have separate subdomain for different languages, or everything can go into the same domain.
Well, a good question there, Dennis. So if I understood it correctly, you're asking me whether there is a difference between having a couple of different languages on the same website. So basically, if you're trying to take all the link juice, then I would say a good thing is to keep all the languages on the same website. But if you want to do SEO for each and every website separately, so you would probably want to do localized versions of the website, because since a couple of years ago, Google paid a lot of attention on localizing their search engine results. So, for example, if you have I don't know, a German version of a website, you would just try to put it on a DE subdomain. So basically, my answer would be, depending on your resources, you could either go with just one website, or if you have enough resources, enough money, enough time, people to back it up, you could just do the localized versions of the website. So there's no right answer to that one.
Makes a lot of sense. Now what I suggest us to do is to keep going with your presentation, and after it finishes, we still have a time for a few more questions. So we are ready to rock.
Welcome to the second part of this SEO Masterclass. I'm Marshall, and we will be optimizing a website for search engines for the next 10 minutes. You will be able to see how does it look like to do an SEO on a website. And let's start. We will do some basic on-page optimization, so you could see how does it look like for an SEO person to do their job. And we will start with editing HTML tags. So the most important tag is the title tag, where keywords will be used and the brand name will be added to it. The next element is meta description tag. Also, as we already mentioned in the first part of this SEO class, we will be using keywords, but try to use natural language, since this tag was basically written for visitors, and most of the time they will be seeing it in search engine results when they look for your website. Let's see how does it look like. Let's refresh the page. There you go. The next thing is keywords tag. We will be using it for different search engines other than Google, since it is an obsolete element for Google, but other search engines like Yandex, Baidu and many others are still using it. Also, there's robots tag, where you need to include that web page. And a very important one is canonical tag, and it is used to avoid duplicate content penalty. Let's move on to optimizing a single page. In this case, since it is a tube site, it will be a video page. Let's edit one video. Again, that page will be using the same elements as the home page, and that's the title tag. In this case, include the movie name, then the description tag, and there's keywords tag. Basically, in this script, all those keywords are used for tag pages, and this will increase amount of web pages on this website. Also, categories are very important for obvious reasons, and another thing that we will be including are the actor names. Organizing this website is a good thing for a lot of inbound links, internal inbound links. So that is one of very important elements of doing SEO, apart from the external off-page links. Let's move on to editing other tags on the website. In this case, it is category page, and we will be changing its title. Also, don't forget to use alt tags for each and every image on the website. So let's edit action category. And start with the title. Category pages will be ranked for decently big keywords, so it is very important to have all those tags set up, and you could add inbound links to each and every one of them. Let's get on to editing the description. There's two different types of descriptions. One is meta description tag, and the second one is the description that is basically a text on the category page. This text is also very important since it is the article text, and without it Google will hardly be ranking your web pages. We will add importing match, so once we're importing lists of videos, they will be matched by category. Let's check out the actors page. Again, don't forget to use alt elements. And that will be the actor's name. The next thing is sites page. In this case, since this script was created for special purpose for promoting pay sites, the title was pay site, but we'll change it to sites. Let's move on to the tags page. Each one of those movies is tagged, and that contributes to the total amount of internal links. That should be it for now. I hope you liked this example of on-page SEO. And now let's move on to the next topic, and that is off-page SEO.
What is off-page SEO? Off-page SEO considers all activities that are done away from your website to improve rankings with search engines. Most people associate off-page SEO with link building, but it usually goes beyond that. If you leave a comment on another site with a link or write a guest post, then you're involved in off-page site promotion. On-page SEO is something that you have total control over, but with off-page SEO often it is not the case.
While it's pretty easy to affect your own page ranking factors by changing various HTML page elements, building links is much harder to do. It is a daily job, it is usually tiresome and demands a lot of persistence and calculation, and takes more time than just optimizing the web page elements. If you're confused about whether your SEO tactic is on or off page, just ask yourself, do you have complete control over it? If your answer is no, then it is the off-page SEO tactic. While good content oftentimes results in link building done naturally by your website's visitors, certain industries that are highly competitive have visitors that are unwillingly linking back to other websites. In that case, you're usually left to your creativity. Most of the described practices are officially called manipulative, but the grim truth is that they still work in 2020. There are many proven methods that site owners and SEO experts use to build new links. Number one, building new properties on free Web 2.0 websites. It's forum and social posts, articles, blogs, and free sites. Then number two, you can exchange links with other site owners. Number three, you can buy new links. And number four, you can build networks of sites with similar topic. Every SEO person needs tools to be able to track search engine rankings. Apart from Ahrefs, the tool mentioned above, the most important tools are already provided by Google itself. Google Webmaster Tools are used for tracking sitemaps, indexed pages, and keyword tracking. Yes, Google provides keyword tracking again. And in fact, you could see pretty much any keyword that you got ranked for and its position in search results. Paired with Ahrefs Keyword Explorer, you could use it to optimize any current listing by applying on-page optimization to that specific web page, or by boosting the rankings with new backlinks. The same tool to complement Google Webmaster Tools in terms of keyword tracking is Ahrefs Keyword Explorer. Results get updated every few days and they are most of the time more usable than Google's own results. This is due to the reason that Google oftentimes don't show all keywords in their Search Console tool. It is a very useful tool that can be of enormous help to know what pages are already ranked for high positions, but they are still not getting much traffic despite a high number of monthly searches. This is very important for the next topic, which will be the closing of today's masterclass. I did SEO correctly, but I'm still not getting any traffic. Is my website a lost cause? Is there anything I could do? There is a joke about Google results that goes like this. The best place to hide something is on page 2 of Google. For those who might not understand it correctly, that simply means that if your web page was not listed on the results page number 1, you will get close to no traffic. You did all the on-page SEO correctly, you increased number of links, but nothing happened with your Google traffic. This is a very common situation where site owners quit doing SEO for good and they consider their site a failure. But is it quite like that? For example, some of your pages are listed on position 15, that's page 2, and it is a low competition keyword with a fairly big amount of searches. What you could do is easily tweak its on-page SEO and eventually add some links to that page, and voila, you're on page 1 already within a few days. And that is where the above mentioned tools come for help. If you followed this masterclass correctly and applied all of the instructions to your website, don't give up yet. Track all your search results and try improving them either by using off-page or on-page SEO tactics. SEO is a good source of income, but there is no such thing as a magical method of earning money without any work. SEO needs constant improvement, regular addition on new content to your site, and daily link building. But in the long run, do you know any other method where you could no problem earn 10 times your monthly salary without stealing from anybody else? Thank you for your time and hope to see you soon on some of the future masterclasses about search engine optimization. I'm Marshall from SEO Backyard and hope to see you again soon. Bye.
That was lovely presentation, Marshall. I did really enjoy it. And now we still have 5, 6, 7 probably minutes to tackle some questions. If you're ready, I already have some prepared.
Yes, I'm ready, Roma. Please shoot them. Go ahead.
Nice. First question is relatively simple, probably simple for me. I don't know, because I'm not an expert, but
okay.
How long does it take for a new website to get results on Google? Just as simple as that. Newbie question.
Actually, it takes a lot of time. Let me explain why. So on average, there's a 6 to 9 months delay until Google starts ranking a website.
Oh.
I've seen a couple of websites ranking much faster, but they were getting an enormous amount of inbound links. So there was a lot of social signals like Twitter shares, Facebook. By the way, an example was on one of my blogs. So there was a very interesting topic about Facebook voting, and I think some of the web forums, I'm not going to name it, basically they shared my post, and I was getting like, I don't know, a couple of thousand shares in one day, and that website was really quick. It appeared on in results in, I don't know, maybe a couple of days most, but usually, based on the experience, it takes 6 to 9 months.
6 to 9 months.
Yes, because there is a sandbox. Google is never going to admit it, but new websites need to go through, let's say, some sort of approval process, an automatic approval process until their algorithms figure out, is that a legit website?
Wow. I didn't know that. So you are saying that, well, just to give you an example, I got a new project a couple of months ago. I started 3 months ago, probably. Mm-hmm. It's Off People blog, where I just interview people around affiliate marketing, and it's not even possible to find it in Google now. It hasn't been indexed yet.
Mm-hmm. So basically, I was talking about the moment when you actually start building your links. So right. The website could be, I don't know, a couple of years old, but if you don't link to it, Google won't be able to actually find it. So just because there was not enough time in the presentation to actually explain the importance of off-page. As much as on-page optimization, basic optimization of your website is important, off-page is the link building part, which is at moments probably more important than the first part. So if you want to get results for your website, just keep building links by sharing good content, by asking people to link back to you, by buying links. Google is
That's
never
what
going
I'm trying to do. I would need to have a private consultation with you after all, because I have lots of questions about SEO. Yeah, let me ask you another question, because we are running out of time here.
Okay.
How to decide a website is worth getting linked from? That's the question.
Can you please repeat it?
Yep. How to decide if a website is worth getting linked from?
Okay. So basically, you need to use some SEO tools that will show you the inbound links. People oftentimes use all kind of tools. I don't know, Moz, SEMrush, but I prefer using Ahrefs. It's an expensive tool, but by far the best one, because you're able to track pretty much any backlink that is out there. And you need to have a look at the link profile of the web page that you want to get a link from. So basically, you have to look at the DR metric, that's domain rank metric on Ahrefs, and you need to look at how clean the link portfolio is, because people like to manipulate their ranks by building, let's say, some fake websites from all kind of sites that have big domain rank, like blogs, that kind of stuff.
All right.
So basically, you need to have a legit website, and any backlink is worth it.
That's the answer. Marshall, we have no time for more questions, okay, but I guess I see lots of questions popping up in our chat, and I presume that you will be able to probably answer them after we finish here.
Okay. So I got to this idea a couple of minutes ago, actually. For everybody that is interested to have some information, some opinion about their SEO websites, for today, I would open a promo. Let's say, and everybody who contacts me, please feel free to hit me up, and they will get 30 minutes of free consultation. Of course, no strings attached. So if you want to get an opinion about your website, about your SEO tactics, about anything SEO related that I could help you with, just feel free to visit my virtual booth here, or hit me up directly on messages. I would be glad to respond to each one of you.
Marshall, that is incredible. That is very generous of yours. I will personally contact you, to consult on my website.
Thank you. It would be my pleasure to give you my opinion.
Nice, guys. Don't miss the opportunity here. Marshall, I need to let you go now because we're going to start another session very soon. So thank you once again.
It was a real pleasure. And of course, goodbye to everybody, and hope to see you soon again.
Bye now.
Bye-bye.